What up, it's your man's Aaron Sands, and welcome to King Talk Season 4. Let's get it.
The views expressed in this episode of King Talk are those of Aaron Sands and not those of the Premier Boys brand, YPG Entertainment, or our respective streaming affiliates.
King Talk. Yeah, that's me. What up, it's your man's Aaron Sands, and we are back at it with another. You already know what it is. If it's Fridays, then it's King Talk. Want to welcome you guys back to yet another week of the, once again, number one entertainment news podcast on Good Pods, King Talk. You know, I will never be not amazed, you know, at the loyalty and love that I got from you guys, the fans, checking out the pod every week, liking, commenting, you know, sharing, you know, getting these episodes out, you know what I'm saying, and actually showing your love, you know what I'm saying? It's a real big deal. I always said, now I said this in the past few seasons, I'm gonna say it here. If I just had a few people listen, right, like maybe 2 or 3 people listening to listen to me talk about this stuff, you know what I'm saying? I feel like I've won, honestly, because at the end of the day, you know, you see a lot of people, they have podcasts and everything, and what happens is they start for a little bit and then they stop. You know, even I did the whole start and stop situation going on. And season 3 kind of helped me realize, like, hey, don't stop, can't stop, won't stop. And I kept it going from there. And you guys, showed me a lot of love for that. Like I said before, you guys keep liking this type of stuff, I'm gonna keep bringing it. I'm gonna keep coming, and that's exactly what I'm gonna do. So, with that being said, before we get into the main, we gonna hold it. I want to bring up a quick side note, if you will. So last week, right, during my main event topic, I brought up the man known as CM Punk. Pepsi Phil is what they call him, or should I say what they called him, because immediately after the recording of that episode, right, we get word that CM Punk got fired from AEW. Now, typically wrestling is we talk wrestling every now and again here, but it's never really my my main niche forte. I usually leave that stuff for I save it for like Mr. Gentleman Lifestyle Podcast, pay-per-view reviews, or I just leave it to bigger groups like Jobber Tears, Cultaholic, and WrestleMania. But when I seen the story, right, it was rather crazy, and I'm like, well, damn. First things first, life always comes at you fast, right? 1 minute you're performing in front of 80 some odd thousand people, largest crowd in wrestling history. Nothing like it. Probably at least until next WrestleMania. Nothing's gonna be like it until like maybe next WrestleMania. You go from that, right? And literally your last match being, with one of your fabled rivals, if you will, it's Samoa Joe. You go from that to end up being unceremoniously fired after choking out Luke Perry's son in the back room and basically having Tony Khan fear for his life, which I didn't know would happen at a wrestling show. It's crazy. It's like, hey, people get in their feels, but it is what it is. So, it's unfortunate. Where do I think he goes from here? I've been asked, where do you think he's going to go? Where's he going to go? I don't know. Probably in the fucking sunset. You know what I'm saying? Because I hear a lot of people talking about, he's going to come back to WWE. And I'm like, I don't know if that's gonna work, mainly because as much as one would think, like, all right, Triple H will run the show, so he probably could finesse it. Vince don't fuck with that man though. On the other hand, you know what I'm saying? And that man's petty. You already know Vince petty as hell. He got when he fired CM Punk the first time in WWE, he fired that man on his wedding day. You know what I'm saying? So it was kind of crazy. But, you know, like I said before, sometimes you get into, like I said in the last episode actually, sometimes you get into situations and you have these rumors that you don't think may be true, but, you know, your past behavior and your past performance, if your past performance tells otherwise, it really makes it hard to convince others that you're going to be, you know, you're going to be different than what you used to show. So I want people to keep that in that, and keep that in their thoughts and their travels, because it's really important. Life comes at you fast. Speaking of life, of things coming at you fast, we're going to get into the main topic real quick, because I did have a lot of topics I wanted to touch on, but we're going to keep that in the back pocket. We're going to save that for the Premier Boys podcast 4-year anniversary, which you want to have more information on at the end of this episode. So you see the title, you see the you see the cover art. You already know what this is. When we talking about BrickBaby, yeah. So basically, right? I didn't get the lady's name, right? But I'm sure if you're looking up BrickBaby, you may already know. So there's this lady in Houston, right? And apparently she has a knack for, being an antagonist in different situations, all over Houston. She'll antagonize dudes. I think there was a video I seen where she slapped a dude cold in the face, walked away in a rather model walk, and then proceeded to twerk her way away from the situation. Now, before I go any further, I do want to say, King Talk with Aaron Sands, yours truly, and the Premier Boy podcast and the Premier Podverse do not, and I repeat, do not condone violence of any kind, whether it's man or woman. I'm of the belief where if on the count of 3, we can keep all of our hands to ourselves and handle these situations, in a more civilized manner, I think that'll be a lot better, not only for individuals, but for us as a community. Sometimes in life niggas going nigga. So basically, what happened was she was trying to, be on her antagonistic shit. You know what I'm saying? And in this particular instance, it didn't go quite well for her. As a matter of fact, it went as left as it possibly could be, because out of nowhere, she caught a brick to the face. Now, keep in mind, right? It's one thing to get socked in the face, right? It's one thing to get punched in the face. I've got punched in the face. I've punched people in the face. So, it's one thing for that to happen, right? It's a completely another thing. It's completely other thing when you get hit with a fucking brick. I can give you a quick story time of some shit that I saw. There's gonna be a lot of story times in this main event topic, because there's a lot to unpack here. So basically, once upon a time, right, and it was a little while back, I was in high school, shout out to P-Tech, formerly known as Paul Robeson, and I'm cutting class, chilling in lunch, right? So I'm in lunchroom, I'm over here sitting with a couple ladies, and I got my boy with me, right? I think Roddy was there, I'm not sure. Shout out to his star. Thoughts are, so basically, We over here chilling, everybody talking it up, we chopping it up, nothing crazy, But we just having a good time. 8th period lunch, dry as shit. But we try to make it fun. Out of nowhere, I see a battery fly right into into the lady's face that I'm talking to. It was right a little bit below her eye, cheekbone, beep. And it wasn't just no regular battery. Oh, it was like one of them big ass D batteries. This was huge as fuck. Like, it was crazy. All in all, she had to go to the nurse and like get a couple stitches. You know what I'm saying? Because, like I said, it's a D battery. You know what I'm saying? You get hit with those, you probably gonna either catch a speed knot or you might have to get a stitch or two. You know what I'm saying? So imagine, right, what a brick would do. You get hit with a brick and that brick lands on your head, or lands on a certain part of your head. Yeah, you'll turn into a hashtag real quick. You know what I'm saying? So that's something to really keep in mind in this situation. So after she got bricked, instead of calling the cops, using your phone to call the cops and put this heinous brick thrower in jail, you decided to pull out your phone and start recording. Because in 2023, if you don't record it, it doesn't happen. So you start recording, right? And you start yelling, what are you guys gonna do? You just gonna let me get hit with a brick like that? You're not gonna defend me? That's crazy. And a lot of the dudes in that video was just standing there. Just standing there, watching that whole situation happen. And it's kind of crazy at first. Because initially the first video came out and that's what we saw. And this is always a big thing with narratives too. Whenever you see the first video come out or something happen, you just automatically go with what you have there because honestly, that's all you have. And then you're like, hey, this is what it was. And a lot of people don't realize is that the devil is really in the details. You know what I'm saying? So people are seeing this. She's in the hospital. She got a whole face on the side of her face. You know what I'm saying? It's looking crazy. She's talking about how there's no black standing up for her. Things like that. It was pretty sad at first. Then what happened next surprised even me, and I'm not even surprised. One of the bystanders that was watching the whole situation go down, he goes on his live and basically says, hey, I was at that event. I did see Shorty get hit with a brick. It is unfortunate that she got hit with the brick, but at the same time, she was also antagonizing, a lot of dudes around that area at that time, and he also said that if it happened again, if that situation happened again, the same way, the same type of situation, he'll stand there and let it happen again. Because even though it was wrong for Shorty to get bricked, you know what I'm saying? Or for Shorty to catch a brick, you shouldn't be going around antagonizing people because, basically if you fuck around, you're going to find out. And she definitely found the fuck out. See, the problem with people, right? Especially nowadays, with some ladies, right? And by the way, before we, full disclosure, I do humbly agree 100% with this dude when it comes down to his position on this matter. Because honestly, granted, you do gotta protect, you gotta protect women, but also more importantly, you gotta protect women you love. You know what I'm saying? Think about it like this, right? And keep in mind, he mentions in the video that he had a daughter, right? Picture this. Picture this. You're at a party, right? Matter of fact, you even got to picture it. I'll give you another story time. Story time with Aaron Sands. So I party promote, right? At this particular time. I'm going to go back like 6 years. 6 to 8 years, essentially. And you know me, I'm party promote. I'm out here turning up, getting to the bag, getting the gentleman, we out here getting to the bag, turning up and everything like that, getting to the, trying to get to this money, but in a fun way. So basically, it was one of those nights where I was kind of doing my disappearing act, and I left the club early. I was like contract this particular time, and I got hit up like, hey, come link me up at this Russian tea room with one of my work bros. Because apparently he was out and I was out, so I'm like, fuck it, let's link up, see what's good. So we linked up. We had this Russian tea room. We're like literally the only black people there. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of crazy. Literally the only black people there. A lot of white people, a lot of Russians, a few other people there. But yeah, only black people there. So we over there minding our business, doing our thing, right? Talking shit. And I see what I find, what caught my attention is this lady. And at this point, she's a little drunk, typical Friday night drunk shit, right? And but the thing is with her, to be fair, she's like about maybe like 5'6", 125 soaking wet, out the shower or whatever. And she's antagonizing these really big burly Russians. It's the biggest shit, right? You would thought they were smelling in. You know what I'm saying? Antagonizing them, poking, prodding at them, until she pushed one of the rather tall Russians, and he came back and just clapped her shit. You know what I'm saying? And basically, I literally seen her get flown at least 3.5 feet across that room, across that space. When she eventually gets up, what happened was she was looking around, trying to see somebody who can help, stop this, woman slapping human. Unfortunately for her, everybody just stood there. Because everybody that was there, just standing there, was also witness to. They were also witness to the whole situation with her when it came down to her, antagonizing these dudes. You know what I'm saying? No one did a damn well bigger than them. You know what I'm saying? They're bigger than you, I should say. I say that story to say this. There's really levels, right? And I don't think a lot of people understand this, but I really do need people to understand this to have, in order to gain discourse and, be able to have a better handle of certain situations when they're out and about. Because a lot of times, especially nowadays, you got some ladies out here that feel that they could just, pull up on a dude and not think there's no consequences in some cases. These aren't the days where, men are just not hitting women because of like chivalry or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Nowadays, these are new niggas. You know what I'm saying? These dudes are hitting people with bricks, plus people inside the head with chairs. You know what I'm saying? They're not afraid to sit there and hold off and smack a chair. Basically. You know what I'm saying? So you really gotta play your position to the best of your ability. You know what I'm saying? Or even not even really get rowdy on that type of song. Because you could come across that one where if you fuck around and you're gonna find out that move you made wasn't the best one, and honestly, had that shit went a little bit left, or if she got hit, in the head with that brick a little bit closer to her skull, it could have been their fault. That would have been her last mistake. to be honest. And all of this brings me back to a whole situation that happened right here in my city, New York. We're gonna make a little quick correlation. I like the CM Punk one last week, so I'm gonna give you another. There once was a man, and I don't have his name. I don't have his name either. But you'll know exactly who I'm talking about. Who I'm talking about when I mention the following 3 words: 8-ball jacket. Yes, 8-ball jacket. Many years ago, I would say maybe like 7 to like 10. I definitely wasn't living upstate at the time. I was definitely living in the city. Apparently, these ladies was on a train, more than likely coming home from a club, a little nice, a little intoxicated, you know what I'm saying? A little smiz, you know what I'm saying, if you will. And they were pulling up on this dude, and you didn't realize how big this dude was to sit up. And they were talking a whole bunch of shit to this dude. Oh, you broke out. Fuck out of here with your 8-ball jacket. You know what I'm saying? All types of shit. All types of wild stuff. To the shame dude, right? Apparently, after that, one of the ends up putting hands on him, start pushing him, right? And when I tell you, this man came and turned around and smacked earth, wind, fire, sonic rings, all types of shit. All types of shit out her. Dog shit, all that. When I tell you, he smacked the dog shit out of this woman. He smacked the dog shit out of this woman. Like, oh my God. That slap was heard for at least 3 months. Honestly, because people couldn't stop talking about it. I kept hearing about it all the time. And what happened was, he ended up fighting off with other dudes trying to get into it. Right? But, at the same time, she was still in the wrong because 1, she struck first. 2, you striking dudes bigger than you, thinking that, that nothing was going to happen. Something was definitely going to happen, and then the end result was her getting charged with assault. I think she's locked up right now. Now she's out, but she, when I last reviewed the story, she was definitely like in jail, or at least facing charges. Now I say all that to say this, right? And I want to make a quick mention to the fact that, due to the fact that the man that was a spectator in the whole situation, he ended up mentioning that he had a daughter, right? And that, that made me, think a lot. You know what I'm saying? That made me really think a lot. Let me tell you why. Say you're in a situation, right? You're in a situation, you're at a club or whatever, you're trying to turn up and do your thing. And what happened, next thing you know, you look up, woman's getting assaulted, potentially, starting shit, getting back and forth with a dude or whatever. And, dude sit there and, hit shorty with a brick. You see a shorty get hit with a brick in front of your face, right? Now you, with your kids and with your kids and your family, you trying to make back home to after a night out. You know what I'm saying? You go and you're like, hey, don't hit on her. I'm gonna fuck you up. And then not only you get fucked up, but something worse happens. You end up getting deleted, right? Now, how do you explain that to your family? Did we think about that? Or are we just all on the, put your life on the line for women that, that antagonize other people and not think about your families? You know what I'm saying? I'll tell you like this. And some people are going to feel like this following opinion is going to be unpopular. And if so, you can cut this podcast off right the fuck now, because these are facts. And, you know, who am I to be like, oh, I'm way too above getting into situations like that? No. If it comes down, say for instance, I'm out with my wife, we at dinner, right? And somebody comes across and hits my wife with a brick. Bro, that nigga going on a t-shirt with the quickness. That man will get sent to the fucking upper room expeditiously. Not a question at all. Not even a thought. Right? Same thing for my mom. Same thing for my grands. If my sister was here, if I didn't send them to the upper room quick enough, she damn sure would have. You know what I'm saying? Or basically any lady I like, you know, that's I'm close with and, you know, I'm good with. You know? My thing is this. When it comes down to protection, I'm all for protection. But what I will not protect is somebody who's antagonizing people and, you know, being the person that they eventually got to defend themselves from. You know what I'm saying? Now, was it wrong that, you know, Shorty got bricked? Yeah. Like, you could have just, you know what I'm saying? You could either A, walked away, you know, and not got involved in that situation, or if it really came down to it, baby shook her, or potentially smacked the shit out of her like 8-ball jacket, right? But, you know, unfortunately, it didn't pan out like that. And this is what I'm talking about. A lot of these younger dudes, they're not putting up with that shit. And they're going to find creative ways to let you find out when you fuck around. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, that's a serious thing. Like, if you're not a kid, bro, how do you explain to your kid? Well, you ain't explaining shit because, you know, you did. But, you know, how do you work that? How does that make sense for the family? You know what I'm saying? Oh, he lost his life because when this lady was antagonizing the men in her space, right? Apparently he got involved and things turned out a lot worse than what they should have. You know what I'm saying? And we lost her. You know, how is that family supposed to feel in situations like that? Nobody ever thinks about that. Like, for real, nobody ever really sits down and considers that thought, because when you look at it, it's a true thing. What about your family? You know? When you're out here protecting and, you know, you're trying to put on that white hat and your cape, you know what I'm saying? While you're doing that, right? Do understand that, you know, especially if you have family or loved ones that you care about, do understand that in putting on that white knight and putting on that cape, you know, when you're doing these things, be mindful that there's a strong possibility that you might not make it home. There's a strong possibility you might not make it home to your kids. You might not make it home to your girl or your wife. You might not make it home to your parents, depending on what it is. And I'm gonna be honest with you, we lose way too many black men to senseless bullshit. And I'll be honest with you, this whole situation was senseless all around, honestly. Because when you look at it, right? When you look at it, both situations could have been avoided. You know, she could have not been antagonizing people. Dude could have not hit her with a brick. You know what I'm saying? He could have walked away. All of it, this looks bad on all accounts. You know what I'm saying? But what makes this even worse, right? What makes this even worse is that there's a whole GoFundMe out for this woman, right? There's a whole GoFundMe out for this woman. And that GoFundMe, as of a couple of days ago, actually, had went up. It went up to at least $34,000. So you mean to tell me you could start trouble, right? You could start trouble with people, you can antagonize, you know, dudes and everything like that. Do all these things, right? And instead of, you sitting with the situation that you're sitting with, or at least you trying to find justice for this heinous brick thrower, who's, by the way, is still on the loose. And that's another thing. How do I put this? Usually when you see situations like this, right, you'll see social media do its damnness to try to figure out who did this, who hit her with the brick. You know what I'm saying? Social media will be like Stabler and Benson with it, trying to figure out who did what. Why is social media quiet now? Nah, for real. Why is it quiet now? Because this happened earlier in the week, which means by the time this episode drops, or by the time the weekend, like you get deep into the weekend, you would have found out who did that shit. You would have definitely found out who did that shit. But because, everybody's worried about, shorty that got bricked and got the face on the side of her face, you know what I'm saying? Nobody's really thinking about who's this, serial bricklayer who's still on the streets wilding, And for me, that's sad, because instead of trying to find, the suspect, this heinous individual, instead of trying to find the suspect, you're just here, just like, oh, black men aren't doing this. You're blaming black men. You're blaming black men for not standing up for you more than you're blaming the man who actually threw the brick at you. So this makes me believe that this wasn't a situation where somebody got assaulted and we're trying to figure out who did it, because honestly, this is a crime. This is, battery, so you're trying to figure that out. But we're not trying to figure that out because we're too busy, one, shaming dudes for not supporting ladies while they're antagonizing other dudes. And honestly, when you think about it, you see this a lot too. You see this way too often, especially nowadays. And I said that before. So you see that a lot, but it's a big thing. It's a serious issue. Oh man. So yeah, she had a whole GoFundMe that was like $34,000. It was wild. I don't know where she's gonna go with it, what she's gonna do with this, but ladies, for all like 5.6 ladies that watch and listen to this podcast, I'm here to tell you right now, before you jump on her bandwagon on this one, do understand she's not for y'all either. You know what I'm saying? Because there was videos that also came out about her talking about how trans women are actually doing things better than cis women. You know what I'm saying? And had a whole diatribe about that. Now I'm not using that. I'm not dive into that really deeply, at least not today. But you got to consider that. Like, all right, one, you're kind of like downplaying ladies in a sense, and then two, you downplaying men because they won't protect you while you run off and do your antics. But yet now here you are, one brick later, and one or two, Martin-sized lumps later, and here you are asking for protection. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying you should be protected, because I don't want that to be a thing. I'm not saying you shouldn't be protected, but don't shame people for not protecting you when you want to do dumb shit. And that's the problem that I have with that. You know what I'm saying? I know for a fact this is going to be, when I heard about this topic, and when I created the whole layout for this episode, I knew for a fact that there may be a 40 to 60% chance that I may catch a lot of backlash for this. You know what I'm saying? For my stance on the situation. But I'm gonna be honest with you. From where I'm sitting, this looks like a case where, somebody was fucking around, doing dumb shit, and then unfortunately, in this case, because it is unfortunate that she got bricked. You know what I'm saying? That somebody came and, they laid the brick on her face. It's unfortunate that happened, but at the same time, and I always tell this lesson: the more you fuck around, the more you finna find out. And on that particular night, old girl definitely found out that you can't just go around here playing in everybody's face, thinking it's cool. Now, for the ladies that think that's cool, cool. You know what I'm saying? Cool. But don't be surprised if you come across that wrong one that's not as chivalrous as most dudes you see every day, and then you find out. You know what I'm saying? Actions do have consequences. Now, the consequences may vary and sometimes can be a bit excessive, but at the same time, there are consequences. Consequences are consequences, and you can't really escape that. Hopefully the swelling goes down, and she be able to do choices. As for the dude who threw the brick, I'm honestly hoping to catch him. Because honestly, you throwing a brick was wild excessive as well, and that shouldn't be tolerated. As for the people who may catch feelings about it, what I suggest you do is arm yourselves, and the first set of you arming yourselves is to go to Lowe's and get you a brick. They cost about maybe $138 to $226, depending on what brick you get. And you protect yourself. And if you know what I'm saying, you feel a certain way, and if you really crazy, you really feel a way about it, brick me. You know what I'm saying? You big and bad, right? Brick me. Shout out to my brother. And that, albeit a short one, is another episode of King Talk with Aaron Fans. I want to thank y'all for tuning in and checking me out. You can be anywhere in the world right now, but you're here listening to me while you're doing whatever it is you're doing at the time that you're doing it. Make sure you follow me on Aaron Sands Premiere. That's on Instagram. King Talk Sands on Good Pods and Twitter. You get me. Premier Boys podcast news. I did say I had something at the end of the episode, and I'm holding myself to it. Make sure you check out the Premier Boys podcast fourth anniversary episode on September 11th. Make sure you check that out. Tune in, join us, have some laughs with us, celebrate our 4-year anniversary. Big things gonna happen, and I definitely appreciate it if you guys pull up. Make sure you like it. Make sure you spread the word. It's a big thing. 4 years is a big deal, especially when it comes down to podcasting. Like I said at the top of this, a lot of people they start something and they do it for maybe 2-3 weeks, what have you, and then they quit. Because it's not yielding results that they set in their own head. They're not realizing that a lot of this takes work. It takes time. You got to build it up. You know what I'm saying? You got to form it in your own image. And sometimes you even got to break that down and then build it up again. So that's really what it is. That's really a big thing. So for us to do this as long as we've been doing it in the way we have been doing it and the dominance we've shown while doing this, it's nothing short of amazing. And I just want to take the time to thank the bros that I do this with every week. You know, whether it be Ken the Gentleman, Star Roddy Rod, and all Chief. They call him Molly Mal. You know, I definitely appreciate, you know, definitely appreciate being here with you guys on this journey. Definitely going to turn up for this special episode. But until then, this your man's Aaron Sands, and I'm signing off. Catch you on the next one. Peace.
Hey, what up? It's your boy Aaron Sands, and I know you're enjoying this episode of King Talk right now, but I want to dive in a little bit and talk about the Premier Boys podcast. You got me, Aaron Sands, Ken the Gentleman, the homie Roddy Rod, and long live the Chief Mally Mal, all in the building, talking about the hottest entertainment topics, the hottest news topics, and giving our own take on what's going on out here in these streets. It can get raunchy. It could get crazy. You might even be talking about somebody's mama. Who knows? But every Wednesday at midnight, check us out on Apple, Good Pods. Don't forget to drop that 5-star rating and all wherever else you hear your podcast. Now back to the show, man.
What's up, world? This is the Chief Mally Mal, long live the Chief, and you're tuned in to King Talk with Mr. Aaron Sands. Don't go nowhere, baby.